have an inoperable lung cancer. When I asked her the timeline, she said 2 months. I knew this guy was going to go to the top, and you did. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for the people that you've helped. You've helped thousands and thousands of people. Hey, Graham.
Charlie, how you doing, buddy?
Did back in the 80s and 90s.
You look just like you did the last time I ever saw you.
But no mustache. He doesn't have a mustache, Dad.
Yeah,
Oh,
I hadn't had the mustache for a long time.
And you have a little salt and pepper like I do.
Yeah, I got a lot of salt and pepper.
But I'm a little older than you.
How old are you, Charlie?
85 now.
Wow.
And
I thought you were 10 years
I've
old.
had a good life, Grant. And it's because I've had good people in it like you and others. I admire you. I always knew you were going to be a successful person, especially after, you remember, I remember talking to you about you didn't want to do anything with your accounting degree because you didn't pay enough money. More or less, that's what it was.
That's right.
And so I said, I don't know whether it was my suggestion or you came up with it, but I said, you're so good at selling substances, maybe you can sell cars or something like that. And you got a job with Shelton Pontiac in Sulphur, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was Colin Pontiac.
After
Colin Pontiac, Dad.
huh?
It was a different Pontiac, he said.
It was a different Pontiac, okay. But anyway, y'all sold brand new cars and the trade-ins. And after around a year, you were the salesman of the year. And what was remarkable to me was that you sold over 300 cars in 1 year. And given the fact that dealerships had to close on Sunday, that comes out to be more than one car a day.
Yeah.
And the usual salesman at that time in that company, if they sold 1 or 2 cars a month, that was considered really great, So I knew from then you were going to be successful with whatever you did, but they asked you to teach the other salesmen how to sell.
Yeah. That was the start of everything right there.
Yeah. Well, I said, well, how is it that you closed?
Let me just do something real quick. I want to introduce my audience to who you are. Okay.
Ask me what you want.
He wants to introduce you to the audience, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so my audience is I want to introduce, a couple nights ago, somebody reached out to me and said, Charlie Whitman is trying to get in contact with you. And Brett Oob actually reached out to me and texted me. And the lady that you hear in the background is Charlie's daughter, Mary Beth.
Yes, hi.
So
You can't see me, but
So Charlie Whitman, I think, Charlie, I met you when I was probably 19 years old, 20 years old, maybe. He was my accounting teacher at McNeese State University. And he would then later end up being my landlord. And later after that, he would be my sponsor in a 12-step program when I was getting off of drugs after rehab. And Charlie and I became very good friends. I'm 23, 24 years old. I'm going to college. I mean, he's known me probably longer than any person that's watching this online right now. He knew me before I wrote books, before I was Grant Cardone, before I was a salesperson. He knew me when I was at the worst times of my life and watched me recover from my drug addiction and then start on, creating who I am today. At least a bit of it. So his team reached out to me the other day and said, Charlie, you just want to say what you've been diagnosed with?
can you hear what he said? He wants to know he wants you to share a little about what you were diagnosed with.
Recently?
Yes, recently.
I have an inoperable lung cancer. It's located in the upper left lobe, and what used to be like golf ball size is now around the size of a tennis ball. And when I talked to the latest physician, my physician, the latest time, she said that I had 2 months. When I asked her the timeline, she said 2 months. And then our court started arguing with her. And she said, well, maybe it's 2 to 6 months. And then I started arguing with her again. And she said, well, you might hold on for 2 years. And I feel like that's what I want to do. I want to hold on as long as I can. You know, Grant, I'm not afraid to go. I've had a good life. I've had some good people in it. You're one of them. We haven't interacted in 30, 40 years. I don't know how long it's been now, but I've kept up with you. I saw you on the TV when you were converting businesses to make them successful. And then I just kept up with you. When I was on Instagram, I used to really like that, and on Twitter, but I don't do those anymore because it's too difficult for me to get through those things.
Yeah.
But you know, I can understand why some of the people who know you today and didn't know you back then, that they might question the intensity of your drug addiction that you talk about at times. And it was just like back then, if there's no way that I could have ever predicted that you would be where you are today. You know, I knew you were going to be a successful person after you know, getting to know you better through the recovery programs and all. But I never, in my wildest imagination, imagined you'd be as successful as you have been.
Well, that makes about 15 million of us.
Yeah, I knew after around a year after, you know, we were in recovery. Did you get that stuff about selling the cars?
Yeah, I have it all. We got
it all. Okay.
I sold. You want to tell everybody I sold you? I sold
you. Want me to talk about? You want me to talk about how you were a student?
No. Well, yeah. You want to talk? You want to talk about $500 to
kind of hyper. You were kind of hyper. And I kept looking at you and said, you must be rich because you were driving around in that convertible. What was it? It was a yellow convertible.
That was probably, was that a car dealership? That was the car dealership's car.
That was when you were in college.
Yeah.
And I said, you must come from a rich family. And then I found out later through the grapevine there that you were one of the you were one of the purveyors. You were selling dope on the campus.
Yeah. Well, that's not quite the story, but
or something like that.
In college, I was driving you must have me confused with some other student because I was driving like I think me and Gary shared a green Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Oh, well, why did I have in my mind that you had a yellow Cadillac?
No, because later I had a yellow Trans Am when I was working at the car dealership. You just got.
Okay, that's where it's hard for me to put everything in the right timeline.
Look, when I was going to college, when I first got to McNeese, I drove a 1970 Ford Maverick, no air, no heat, and no door handles. Yeah. And I remember that because that car was $500. I had door handles at one time, but I was loaded one night and I tried to park in front of the Hungry Night in between two cement pillars. And I took off both door handles. So when I got out of treatment center, for you guys to understand, like I ran into Charlie at a 12-step meeting and I remembered him from college and he knew I had trouble. He knew I was having a drug problem in college. And I think you knew, right, Charlie? It was kind of obvious.
You knew he was having a drug problem in college, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, you were on something. I knew that much.
Yeah, yeah.
You all, you're very spirited, but
Yeah.
even the way you looked in your face and the way you presented yourself, you were on some kind of speed. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I was on a lot of stuff. So
You were naturally a little hyper, but with the speed on it, you were really hyper.
yeah,
You were 1,000%. But anyway, you were a good student. You weren't one of the best students I ever had, but
because your classes were boring.
diligent. And you were, you're an intelligent man, and you didn't have to apply yourself very much just
Exactly.
to get by in the classes,
That's right.
And I have some stories, and sometimes I don't. It said, was that Grant or was that somebody else? But I remembered, and it might have been you, it might have been somebody else. I was teaching and I saw the guy, and he was on his hands and knees and on the back of the classroom. And so I kind of moved over and I saw over there, and he had a straw, and it turned out he had dropped a little vial.
That was me.
That was you?
That was me. It broke.
And we're snuffing up the Coke and the broken glass and everything else, and and
Yeah, I
then I
was
said,
sick,
he
man.
really has a problem.
I was sick, man. I really had
I
a
saw that. But that was before you went to Hazelton, didn't you?
yeah, that's right. I went to Hazelton.
That was a recovery program that you went
Yeah.
to, which has been a very successful program over the years. And you took to it.
Yeah.
I think you knew that you had a problem, but you didn't know how to face it,
Yeah. Well, once I finally got to being willing to do that, then I got help. And then you were always there to support me and help me. I was literally going to 2 and 3 meetings a day, and you were at most of them. And I just want to thank you, Charlie, because, when you and Mary Beth told me you only have, whatever, 4 months, or I said, hey, once you get on my podcast, you'll live forever right here.
Yep. I think that's great.
Man, I just want to thank you because you had a great influence in my life. You, your wife, how many kids? Would y'all have 5 kids?
When you were around, I had 4 children.
Okay.
I had a swimming pool. You used to come swim in, and I have some pictures. I haven't been able to find them
I sent
Oh, okay.
Andy some pictures.
of you around the swimming pool.
Yeah, and I was back, those were the days of me wearing my little Speedo, and you tried to wear a Speedo like me, which you didn't carry it off as well as I did. But
Nope.
Well, my oldest grandson is named, well, we call him Grant. Actually, his name is Charles Grant.
okay,
But he's always been known as Grant. And that's partially, I think there was other reasons we decided it was she decided it would be Grant. But my children were very impressed with you.
Yeah.
You were a good friend, not just to me, but to them,
Yeah.
And they held you up in great esteem. We have to judge people the way they are currently, and not what their past was. It's a miracle what the change was, but it's the way you are today that you need to be judged, not on that past. Some of that is funny, some of it is very sad.
Yeah. Look here.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Just share the pictures
Yeah.
with your dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
I have another picture of you and I and 3 or 4 other guys when we went on a treat.
There's Barbara,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
Mikey,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Billy, and Grant with the mustache.
Yeah, you had the black mustache, black hair. I had black hair then too.
And here's me and you and Mikey.
Oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, and that's Mikey.
Dude, and I remember
he was born in 1980, so that must have been around 83 or something.
yeah.
But Dad, you remember Mikey used to go with Grant to the Civic Center to pick up chicks?
To pick up what?
To pick up girls.
Oh,
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
Oh my God, he used to bring Mikey to the Civic Center so he'd pick up more girls.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had any problem with picking up.
He didn't.
I had a problem with picking up too many of them.
Well, you were a very handsome young man.
Well, thank you.
You are a handsome man, older man now.
Well, thank you, Charlie.
Good looking fella.
Charlie, let me ask you something. So what advice would you have for anyone?
What advice do you have for anyone? What advice do you have for anyone?
Well, I think the example that you've shown is that follow your dreams and work hard, and don't be restricted to just the box. Work outside of the box. That's a lot of opportunities and out there, and it's the people who are imaginative and are willing to do the work. A lot of people have a lot of ambitions, but they never go anywhere because they never want to put the effort into it.
Mhm.
Success is people in their dungarees, and working their ass off. Anything good is not going to come easy. You've got to work at it, and of course, after you get used to doing it, it becomes easier and easier as you go along. But you have to have that philosophy for yourself of that I am going to be something, and I'm going to follow my dreams, and I'm going to work as hard as I can, and until I get them. And I don't think anybody should give up. The first time that you don't fail, sometimes you fail. Just get back up and start over again. I think that would be the advice I would give anybody.
How long, Charlie, did you spend in the education system?
How long were you teaching? You were 27 years. Right?
I taught at McNeese 27 years, and I taught at other institutions 3 years.
Yeah. What's wrong with education and what needs to change?
What's wrong with education these days and what needs to change?
Oh, Lord. It's kind of hard for me to make an assessment overall, but I would say there's a watering down of learning. People, I won't blame the teachers, but a lot of them just pass them on because the parents want results, but they don't want to have a teacher that because it has discipline. They oppose the teachers with that want to have discipline in their class. But it's hard to criticize the current generation and the generations after my mind, because there's a lot of good things about the new generations. They're not as naive as we were growing up. Whether it's because of access to TV and the internet,
right?
They're much more aware of what's going on. And even though we have a lot of criticism of education, and we think that it could be a lot better, it does a decent job, you know. I would like to see in the elementary and high school where there would be more focused on success, you know. It's a lot of rote stuff that they do now that without teaching people how to think, you know.
Yeah.
But
Do you think,
I don't want to criticize people too much today because they're struggling just like I guess we were struggling.
yeah,
then.
yeah. And I wasn't looking for you to criticize the system as much as just 27 years in it. You have to have an opinion about how it could be made better.
You know, Grant, it's just like all of the divisions that we see in the country. A lot of that is hype from the newspapers and all. You know, I don't see a division between black and white between the people that I know. You know, and around town here, and yet they would you would, if you listen to what the media says, you think that everybody's ready to shoot each other, and that's not true.
Right.
I've had, like, when I was being able to get out and go to the grocery store, on several occasions, you know, I couldn't get something off of a shelf or something, and black ladies and black men would see immediately that I was trying to do something, and they'd come over and volunteer to help me, you know. And all they could see was I was an old white man, you know, but they didn't make any it didn't make any difference.
Right.
And some of my best friends are black, you know, and I just hated to see that division and that's hyped in the media, you know, and the condemnation of how the liberals and the conservative portray one another, you know.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Charlie.
The big middle ground of middle America, if you want to call it that they're concentrating on raising their families to be good citizens and things like that. And that's what we need to really remember, you know.
Charlie,
By the way, I'm somewhat of a conservative, but I'm neither. I'm a libertarian.
How you gonna vote? How you gonna vote this next cycle?
Conservative libertarian. Now there's some of those liberal libertarians that I don't agree with, you know. But
Charlie, hang on, Charlie, how you gonna vote in 24? If it's Biden or Trump, how you voting?
what?
How are you going to vote in 2024? If it's Trump and Biden, who are you voting for?
I don't want to tell people how I'm going to vote.
Okay.
Let's put it this way.
Charlie,
I haven't voted for a president that was elected in over 40 years. Okay.
Oh my God. Okay.
My choices have never been, but I've only in the last 50 years, and I'm not going to tell you which ones they were. I voted for one Republican and one Democrat that was running for president.
Well, and they didn't
But
win.
most
So I
of the
know who
other
it was.
time, I've voted for the Libertarian candidate or one of the others, third party. I
Yeah.
think maybe I look to see what they have in Europe and where they have a bunch of different parties and then they have to make compromises. I think that some way their democracy is better than our democracy, you know?
Mary Beth, help me. I want to ask him some questions, okay?
Okay, sure.
So questions, Charlie, here we are in the gold, you know, in the, what, I don't know how to describe your life, you know, your life cycle. I'm moving toward the bottom third of mine. You're moving toward the end of yours. What regrets does Charlie Whitman have? What would you do different?
What regrets do you have, Dad? Any regrets now that you're towards the end? Any regrets you have?
Well, I don't really think of me having that many regrets. There are things that I've done in my past that I'm not really proud of. But to use the word regret, everything that I've ever done, it brings me to where I am today, you know. I wish I'd have been more faithful to my wife. Okay. We're divorced, and it was not her fault, it was mine, you know. And I wish that I would have been a better spouse, you know. And there's been times when I wish I would have been a better parent to my children, you know. As far as success in business or something, I enjoyed teaching. I enjoyed that environment, but it's not one that there's a lot of material success in, you know. Some people can take it and they can write successful books and supplement their income with consulting and things like this. I was primarily a teaching teacher. I was a teaching professor, and I interacted with students, and I, just like in the recovery program, I've interacted with, of course, much younger people. You're not the only successful person that I've mentored, you know, and been a sponsor or whatever you want to call it in the program. Of course, you have a phenomenal success, but there's others that have been very successful in their life too, and they all have one thing in common, is that they're not restricted by the past. They're looking forward.
Wow, beautiful.
And they looking at opportunities, and they take the opportunities that they are given. And that's the only thing I could say. And you know, material success is wonderful. You know, I like it, but a person needs to be satisfied with the way they live and how they treat people. You know, that's success. You know, if you can live a good life and you can treat people with dignity and fairness, I think you can say you're a successful person. Material wealth is only good if you do something good with it. You know what I mean? And I think you have. As far as the teaching, as far as the whatever we were talking about, I'm sorry, my mind isn't that clear, Grant.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great, man.
I lost the train of thought.
You were
Yeah, no,
basically
it's
just
beautiful.
talking about, you know, what
About
regrets you might have
regrets.
or
Yeah.
whatever. And I mean,
Oh yeah, the regrets.
you said most people these days don't have as many regrets and do something good with material wealth and that type of thing.
I don't.
Let me ask you this, Charlie. Let me ask you.
It's hard for me to say I regret this or I
Yeah.
regret that.
No, I get it.
Because I've
Hey, let me
learned-
ask you, do you
I've learned to
still?
live today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
It's not who you were in the past; it's who you are today that counts. You know.
I love that. Love that.
And part of what we are today are reasonable expectations of the future.
Yeah.
The person to be successful have to take the opportunities that are given to make advances in their life, and not be restricted by the past.
Yeah, I love that. Hey, let me ask you, do you still own the duplex that I rented from you?
The duplex, you had a duplex that you rented to him?
Yeah, I don't own any rent property anymore.
Okay. Did you enjoy owning real estate?
Did I?
Did you enjoy owning real estate?
Well, yeah, but I never pursued it to the point that I bought apartments like
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mary Beth, make sure.
Slum, I never became a slum landlord.
Yeah. Well, for the
But
viewers,
some of us start out that way. And
you
rehabilitate the houses using the government incentive tax incentives.
I think I
a good way.
I think
But,
I paid Mary Beth, I think I paid your
I
dad.
don't
Oh,
own
me?
or rent property anymore.
I think I paid your
I've
dad
been out of that in a long time.
I think I paid your dad $375 a month for that little duplex. And I remember sometimes not being able to pay the rent. I remember I said to myself, one day I'm going to own real estate the way Charlie does.
Oh, wow. But he didn't really own that much.
I know, but it was one more unit than I owned at the time.
Well,
So,
fair enough. Fair enough.
so
Yeah.
let him know he was my real estate inspiration.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Good
that's
night.
pretty amazing because
I didn't
you've done a lot
realize
more
that.
with that than he did.
Charlie, do you think for a guy like me do you think college benefited me? Would it have mattered in my case?
Well, I'm sure your accounting education has been some beneficial. It's been beneficial to not your success, but I don't know. I think that a college education, whether it's in business or it's in something else, helps the people to think in a more liberal way, you know. And so I'm not saying that college education is for everyone. I think the school systems should have a provision for those people that can be craftsmen. I have one grandson that decided he didn't want to go to college, and so he got into a program for being an electrician, and he's paying his way. He's not having to borrow money.
Right.
Yeah.
And he'll be a journeyman electrician in a couple of years, you know.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, he's making good money. But he just knew that he wasn't. That's
Well,
Yeah, that's my second son, and I was completely supportive of that. You know,
and I think we have to look at, you know, when I was in Europe, and you know, which I was in Europe for around 5 years. They have a program. Their craftsmen are well educated, more so than ours are. You know what I mean? They get up to around what we would be the 10th grade, and then they specialize in a trade. You know,
yeah.
or craftsman, and it seems like the craftsmen in Europe are better than the craftsmen over here.
Yeah.
You know,
Charlie,
it works out that way. But I think a college education rounds out a person, especially if they take a liberal arts type of thing. You know, having philosophy and logic and things of that nature.
yeah, well, we can argue about that in another lifetime.
Yeah.
Charlie, what do you think happens after this life?
what happens after this life?
Grant, if I could answer that definitively, I would be the brilliant person on earth. No
Yeah.
one knows what happens after this life.
What do you think happens?
I'm basically an atheist, but
Uh-huh.
I have some idea that there's something more than just us. You know what I mean? I feel that probably like the Buddhist and some of the other ones think that the soul survives the active life. In other words, our soul is just in a temporary physical state. And just as we have conservation of matter and energy, I think that the soul probably transcends our physical death. However, what happens to it, whether there's a heaven and a hell, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would feel I feel somewhat comfortable with the Buddhist idea that that you get a second chance in life, like and being reincarnated until you get it right, and then you become in nirvana. And all nirvana is where the soul unites with all other souls, you know, and there's no time or space to the spirit world, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I will be aware after I leave this physical life. I'm not sure of it, and how much of it is wishful thinking is I don't know.
Yeah.
But I started out being a real atheist. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't describe myself as an atheist anymore because I believe that there's something, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
A little more. I think I would describe myself as being a deist, like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, as they weren't religious at all, but they believed that there was some kind of higher power that that oversaw the world, you know. And it's a nice concept to think of.
Yeah. Well,
now, my daughter is a very active Christian, and she's a very devoted Christian. And
I still have a few months to work on him.
I have one son that's a high Episcopalian, and he likes all that ceremony and all. And the rest of my kids are just like me.
Yeah. So I just want to close with saying, hey, I know there's something else out there, because whatever that is, put you in my life at a time where I needed guidance and mentorship.
Yeah.
I needed an example. And when my friend reached out to me and said that you had been given this diagnosis, I wanted to reach out to you right away.
Yeah.
And tell you how important you have been in my life. And all those nights that I came over to your house and had coffee with you and talked and complained and dreamed, and all those mattered to me in my life.
It's hard to remember.
Hang on one second. I just want to tell you, you're a really, really important person to me.
Thank you.
And I've thought about you many, many times. I've talked about you many times. I've used your name, Charlie Whitman, many, many times.
Well, when they honored you at McNeese as being a distinguished graduate, and they had invited me to the reception for you, but I just wasn't physically able to go. I was ill at that time. But I think you were well deserved of that. And especially you were a good student, though, even inside of being on high and all that, you still were a good student.
Yeah.
And you always you kept me amused anyway.
Yeah.
You said something about offering me some money to give you an A in your class.
Yeah, no, I didn't want an A
at all.
I didn't want an A. I offered you $500 just to raise my grade a half a point.
Yeah. Well.
And you didn't take it. You didn't take the 500, and I think you should have. By the way, I think that was a mistake. I think that was a
not that
regret.
bad of a
That should be
teacher.
one of your regrets, Charlie. You should be like, when I asked you the regret, you should be like, dude, I should have taken the 500. $500 was a lot of money back.
Oh, yeah, that 500, I should have done it, yeah.
Should have done it.
I don't know whether, I've been offered sex. I've been offered other things.
But you should have taken it. You should have
You
taken
know,
it.
a beautiful young 18, 19-year-old girl comes into your office and say, I'm willing to do anything to pass this course.
Oh
And
my
I said, well,
God.
why don't you go study? You know, and it's not because I wanted to that I was something less than a man. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
sure, there's a lot of teachers that fall into that
Wow.
that dangerous.
You think that
situation,
happens a lot, Charlie?
You know, huh?
You think that happens a lot?
Do you think that happens a lot, that a professor's?
I think it happens a lot more than what we say, what we want to say. I've known some,
Yeah.
professors that have expressed real regrets because they
Wow.
allowed
Temptation.
themselves to get into a relationship with a student, you know. And
Well, hey, Charlie,
luckily I wasn't. I
Yeah.
didn't, you know.
I want to thank you, man. Thank you for your life.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you for today. Thank you for being with me today. And
Well, you know, Grant, I really appreciate being able to say hi to you and to say how much you meant to me. You know, I've had a number of people that I've interacted with in the past, and a lot of them have success, but I've always looked at you and I knew this guy was going to go to the top, and you did, you know, and I'm so happy for you, you know.
yeah,
I'm so happy for the people that you've helped. You've helped thousands and thousands of people,
Mhm.
you know. I never paid for any of your courses, but when you offered one of those free ones with the 10X or whatever it was,
yeah,
I listened to it. I said, well, I wish I would be 20 again.
yeah,
Starting out instead of in my declining years, your programs really are inspiring,
Mhm.
and they encourage people to be all they can be, like they say in the commercial, you know.
yeah. Charlie, I appreciate you. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
I love seeing
Hey,
you.
great journeys, great journeys. Whatever happens next, man, great journeys. I'm pulling for you. I expect that I will see you again. Look for me, by the way. Look for me on the other side.
Okay. Well,
I'll find you.
if I get on the other side and I'm able to, I'll make a signal to you in some way. Just watch for it. You
Hey, give me this signal right here.
know?
He usually
That's the
does
signal.
that.
That's the signal.
Well, it's been nice talking to you, Grant. Thanks
Great talking to you, and thank you for your
inviting
translator,
me to be
Mary
part of
Beth.
your life
Yeah,
today.
sure thing. At some
Okay.
point, you'll have to interview me too, because I've got some things on just what you talked about what we need to do in academia, because I've been teaching now for 21 years and I've got
wow.
some ideas.
Yeah, I'd
I'll
love to
share
do
them
that.
with you
Okay.
later, because again, I feel like I know what the solution is. It's basically what Dad said. Hard work is what's going to get America back to where it needs to be.
Yeah,
And getting students excited about thinking, that's what I try to do. I'll post something on my LinkedIn later that you can
Okay,
look
good.
at. Basically, I'm doing a lot of international learning with my students and other things. And, you know, I teach accounting just like Dad did, but I teach the other stuff, as I told you the other day.
yeah.
So,
Okay, well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Charlie Whitman, I will see you again, my friend. I guarantee it.
Okay.
Avoid the light. Avoid the light. Look for a safe place. Anywhere you come, like if you have a choice to come find me somewhere, find me and I'll get you situated.
See you, man. Love you.
Be great. Love you.